Good morning and a very warm welcome. You're watching the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. We're coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Now, the certified paddy price is set to be announced this morning, and this comes after a long period of Sri Lankan farmers demanding that this certified paddy price be announced. Deputy Minister of Agriculture Therunee Karunaratne has said that this will be announced this morning. And also starting today, parliamentarians will have to pay a fee of 2,000 rupees for their meals in Parliament. In other local news, a new Cybersecurity Act is set to be passed promptly. Well, these are just a few of the local news items that we are ready to cover on the Breakfast Rundown this morning. And in news overseas, we have details on the meeting that was held between US President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. A press conference was held at the White House where several important facts, especially concerning the war in Gaza, have been discussed, and these were announced to the media. We have details on this story coming right up. Also, we have details on a shooting that took place in Sweden in an education center, killing at least 10 people, and also details on an earthquake that occurred in Greece. You can stay tuned with us for the news in detail. Let's start off with the top local news item for this morning. The Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Land and Irrigation says that the certified paddy price will be announced this morning. Deputy Minister Therunee Karunaratne says that this will be announced taking into consideration the full cost of production. He said that the slogan of the farmers of Sri Lanka was to earn 30% more than the cost of production for each kilogram of paddy produced, and that, however, this never became a reality in the past. Deputy Minister Karunaratne said that the current government has now taken steps to add 30% of this cost of production per kilogram as expected by the farmers, and announced the government's new certified paddy price. He went on to note that the Treasury of Sri Lanka has allocated a total of 5 billion rupees for the purchase of paddy stocks from farmers across the island. Meanwhile, a Member of Parliament will now have to pay a total of 2,000 rupees for their meals in Parliament. This change follows a decision made by the Parliamentary House Committee to increase the fee from 450 rupees, which was the previous amount. The proposal was presented from the government. As per the new decision, breakfast will now cost 600 rupees, lunch will cost 1,200 rupees, and evening tea will be priced at 2,000 rupees, and this amounts to a total of 2,000 rupees. The decision came into effect from the 1st of January this year. However, it is today that the Parliament will convene for the first time since the decision was made. Meanwhile, two regulations under the Foreign Exchange Act and the Import and Export Control Act are scheduled to be debated in Parliament today. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Computer Emergency Readiness Team (ISL) CERT says that steps are being taken to promptly pass the new cybersecurity bill in Parliament. Senior Information Engineer Charuka Damunupolo says that with the country moving towards the digital economy and various other steps being taken towards it, cybersecurity regulations, in fact, do need to be more stringent. He adds that under the new cybersecurity bill, the establishment of a regulatory body for cybersecurity has also been proposed. Moving on to more local news for this morning, a meeting between the Inter-University Student Federation and the Ceylon Teachers Union was held yesterday. General Secretary of the Ceylon Teachers Union, Joseph Starling, says that although the government promised to increase gradually the GDP percentage that is allocated for the education sector, not even 1% has been allocated so far. He went on to note that the government should make a decision to move forward from the point where former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa left off. Meanwhile, Abdullah Muhammad Rifad, a student activist of the IUSF, said that this matter is being discussed with all trade unions involved. On to your weather update for this morning. The Met Department says that a few showers may occur in the Uva province and in the Batticaloa, Ampara, Mathale, Nuwara Eliya and Hambantota districts. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Galle, Mathura, Kaluthara and Ratnapura districts in the evening or night. Mainly fair weather will prevail over the other areas of the island. Misty conditions can also be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, Uva and northwestern provinces, as well as in the Gaul, Mathura and Anuradhapura districts during the morning hours as well. Let's move on to news overseas for this morning. We have quite a few important news items coming up. The first international news item being from the United States. US President Donald Trump and Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu hosted a joint news conference at the White House, and this was in line with the meeting that was held between US President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's Prime Minister. Now here, Trump suggested that the US could take over Gaza and do a real job by removing unexploded bombs and economically redeveloping the Palestinian territory. The US president proposed that Palestinians could be resettled outside Gaza while it was being rebuilt, though countries throughout the Middle East have previously rejected this proposal. Netanyahu, the first foreign leader to visit in the US president's second term, said Trump's plan was an idea worth paying attention to. The Prime Minister also said that Israel will end the war by winning the war, amid a Gaza ceasefire that has paused 15 months of conflict between Israel and Hamas. Now, Netanyahu, fighting for his political survival back at home, has said that the Gaza ceasefire is temporary and that Israel has reserved the right to return to fighting. The two leaders were close allies during Trump's first term, when the US president relocated the US embassy to Jerusalem, a move that was condemned by the Palestinians as well as others. Let's take a look at a few ideas that were expressed by President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during this press conference.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
I'm honored that you invited me to be the first foreign leader to visit the White House in your second term. This is a testament to your friendship and support for the Jewish state and the Jewish people. I've said this before, I'll say it again. You are the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House. And that's why the people of Israel have such enormous respect for you.
Moving on to another international news item this morning. Let's shift your attention to Sweden now. Police say that around 10 people have been killed in a shooting at an education center in central Sweden, including the suspected gunman. The Swedish Prime Minister described Tuesday's attack at the Risbergska school, 200 kilometers west of the capital Stockholm, as the worst mass shooting in Swedish history. Police said they believe the male perpetrator to be among the dead and that he was not previously known to them. They said that there was no immediately identifiable motive and he was believed to be acting alone. Police earlier warned the death toll could continue to rise as several people had been injured in this shooting. The number of injured have been taken to the hospital, with at least 4 people undergoing operations. Police initially said 5 people had been shot and the incident was being investigated as an attempted murder, arson and aggravated weapons offense. Local media later began reporting that several people had died before police said around 10 people had been killed, but they could not be more specific about the number of fatalities. They also confirmed that there did not appear to be a terror motive behind this attack. Shifting your attention to Greece now, Thousands of residents are fleeing Santorini after hundreds of earthquakes were recorded near the Greek island within the last 48 hours. About 9,000 people have left the island since Sunday, with additional emergency flights scheduled to leave on Tuesday. More than 300 earthquakes have been recorded in the past 2 days near the island, and some experts say that tremors could continue for weeks. Authorities have closed schools and warned against large indoor gatherings. However, the Prime Minister of Greece has urged the general public to remain calm. Santorini is a popular tourist destination, but most of those leaving are locals, as February is outside the peak tourist season. Dozens of tremors were recorded in the Aegean Sea northeast of Santorini on Tuesday, with a large earthquake measuring magnitude 5 striking mid-afternoon. Several days of continuous seismic activity has led some residents to sleep in their cars, afraid to spend the night in their homes in case the walls or ceilings cave in to the force of these tremors. Now, no major damage has been reported on the island so far. However, emergency measures are being taken as a precaution. Hundreds of people queued at a port in the early hours of Tuesday morning to board a ferry leaving for the mainland. Let's move on to sports news for this morning. Two-time Grand Slam tennis champion and former world number 1 Simona Halep has retired from tennis. The Romanian announced her decision on court at the Transylvania Open following her 6-1, 6-1 first round loss. The 33-year-old recently said she was considering retirement external because of a knee injury that forced her to withdraw from the Australian Open qualifier last month. Now, this week's event was just her 5th tournament since returning to the WTA Tour following a doping ban, a case which went on for her for almost 2 years. Well, that brings to a close this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. I'll see you once again right here on TV1 at 7 a.m. tomorrow, as well with more of the very latest from around the world and here at home. Until then, take care. Have a wonderful day ahead.